time for Lykken on Lending.
Welcome, everybody. Good to have you with us.
Welcome to Lykken on Lending, a weekly mortgage market update providing up-to-the-minute information on interest rates, loan programs, and hot industry news, all related to the mortgage industry. Brought to you by Transformational Mortgage Solutions. To participate in today's program, our guest call-in line is 646-716-4972. Now here's your host of Lykken on Lending, David Lykken.
Let's begin.
Folks, I'm excited to have Garett Locklear here with me. Not only is he a top originator and a leader in our industry, but the guy is just really, really innovative in how he approaches the business, just in his processes, but then also some technology he's creating. So you're going to get in on the ground floor, listeners, of some exciting things that you're going to be hearing a lot about in the future. Garett Locklear, good to have you here with me. Appreciate you.
Thank you, David. It's an honor to be on your show. And let me just say before we start, not just for me, but for so many others in our industry that you have mentored and guided along their journey over the years. Thank you for being, I think, one of today's key ambassadors for our industry. It's affected my life and so many others.
That's so exciting. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Like there's one expression I heard a long time ago when a speaker was given a kind word. He says, it makes you feel like a baby who just wet his diaper. Doesn't show much on the outside, but it makes you warm and fuzzy, warm and feeling all over on the inside. So
all right.
Yeah,
if you need to take a break, it's fine.
That's all right. Listeners, we always have fun. Every time we get on the phone with Garett, it's always fun. But our listeners need to get to know you, Garett. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in the industry, and also interested in what drew you into the industry.
Yeah, that's a good question. I moved to Nashville about 15 years ago, and I wanted to be a songwriter and a musician and an artist, the whole deal, right?
Yep.
And I got to do a lot of cool stuff. I got to play on some records, perform with some artists I really admired. And I'll never forget, I was at a friend's house one night. I bumped into their coffee table and I nearly knocked off the table their Grammy Award for Song of the Year. This is a true story. Yeah. And thankfully I didn't break it. But he told me something that sort of shifted my focus a bit. He said, Garett, you can be a musician or you can grow up, but you can't do both. And and I was sort of at,
I understand that.
Yes, I was like, okay, yeah, I actually get that. And I was sort of at a crossroads, and it wasn't long after that the music thing sort of had run its course. And so about 8 years ago is when I would say the mortgage industry found me.
Mortgage industry found you. How did it find you? Thank God it did.
Yeah. Well, my dad has spent a good 20, 30 years at the crossroads of sort of like applied mathematics and nuclear engineering. So he's a very smart guy. And a friend knew my dad, and he knew me, and he was like, you're probably not as smart as your dad, but you're good with people, and hopefully you got some of the math skills. Why don't you try out this new job over here? And before you knew it, I was cold calling internet leads for a mortgage company.
Wow, very good. Yeah. Started out. That's hard. That started out.
It was terrible.
That's like a pickaxe.
But you learn a lot. You learn a lot, and you learn a lot by failing. And it took me a good 2 years to sort of get the hang of how to write a mortgage.
Well, it's interesting how you got in and how you got started, and you started at one of the more difficult places. But what causes you to stay in this industry? A lot of people will wash out, especially having a tough, one of the tougher ways to start in the industry. Many wash out. What's kept you in?
I would say it's a good question for now, the here and now. I would say it's purpose. I think there's really three things that you need in our industry and in a lot of industries. I think you need the right people around you. You need an amazing team. You need a process or a system, something that you can anchor your business to, anchor your team to. And you need purpose. Purpose is what's going to keep you around when times are tough. And that's a good application for right now. When there will be times, there'll be days, there'll be weeks, sometimes there'll be months, right? But purpose brings clarity and focus in those moments and sort of pulls you through.
That is a great way to put it, which almost goes hand in hand with the next question is what makes you so successful? You have been outrageously successful. And I want to give us some of the metrics because people need to hear this. It's unusual.
Yeah, it's been a fun journey. In the last 6 years, so I would say it took me a good 2 years to figure out how to write a mortgage, right? Or just sell it. But in the last 6 years, my personal origination business has gone from $6 million a year to $250 million a year.
Your personal, just yours.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just mine. So I don't. There's not other loan originators on the team. It's just me, and then a team of awesome people who help me out.
Well, that is outstanding. What is the key to that? I mean, I know you talked about process. Which is really getting into the heart of what we're going to be talking about is some technology that you created. But at the core of that is you're a student of the process. Was it your dad's education background and that kind of brought you to this?
A little bit. He has got the mathematics background. I also enjoy getting to know people. So when you talk to a client, you're learning their story. And so it's a really interesting mix between, being great at math, I suppose, but also being intrigued with serving people and hearing their story and how you can help to be part of that story.
I think that's one of the reasons that really was a draw and has kept me in this industry is how we can really make such a difference in people's lives. And the nice thing about doing mortgage loans, there's no two stories that are alike. I mean, everyone, like a fingerprint, like an iris on your eye. Yeah. One of them are uniquely different. And it really is something that's intriguing. One of the things that I think is a good part of your story and my story and our story is how you found me. You used to work at Movement Mortgage and you admired Casey and what he had built, the values upon which he built on that. And you watched a video. Share a little bit about that. I'm excited about this part of the story because it's what builds off of it. When you have an impact in someone's life, it's like a domino effect that just goes out in so many directions.
Yeah. And it's no secret, right? You were one of the key figures in helping Casey Crawford start Movement Mortgage, which is now top 10. I mean, just massive company, right? Massive. And I spent a lot of my years at Movement. The first 8 years I spent at Movement. So that's when I first heard your name. And then I started listening to your podcast from time to time. And got a ton of value.
I like to have you say all the time. I'd like to have you say that.
No, just from time to time. Yeah. and then when I needed one, I think of the top consultants in our industry, I called you and thank goodness you answered.
Yeah, I'm glad I did. I'm so glad I did because what you're really about is, I think, has a potential to transform the way business is done. I think one of the things that I tell a story a lot about what made a difference was the time someone was coming to fire me because I wasn't good at doing certain aspects of the business. And they didn't focus in on the fact that I was a top producer. They focused on what I couldn't do. They didn't focus on what I could do. And I think we always need to know what our strengths are, but it's more important that we know what our weaknesses are and we build around those weaknesses. Mm-hmm. Now, you have built something in a product that I am very excited about. So what is the name of the product? I'll let you tell everybody. And then what brought this product about? Why did you create this?
Yeah, that's a good question. The product's name is Candid, and I describe it as a next generation mortgage platform, and it provides everything a loan originator needs outside of their LOS to structure, to manage, and to scale their business. And the why is pretty simple. I was purely frustrated. 6 years ago, I was originating about $6 million a year in business, a respectable number. But I knew I wanted to grow, and I knew in order to do that, I needed something more than a spreadsheet. And I had spent nearly 6 months, maybe too much time, looking at dozens and dozens of systems, CRMs, platforms, like the whole thing, inside the mortgage industry, outside the mortgage industry. And at the end of the 6 months, I remember being more frustrated than when I began, because everything I saw did one thing pretty well, but nothing did everything with excellence. And And so how I got started, I made the decision to build my own platform so that myself and my team could deliver at scale the best home financing experience we could to every single client that we served. And to be honest, I didn't think about anyone else but our team. I wasn't building it for anyone but our team. But something crazy happened. So we were building it. We were doing really well. The volume kept growing and doubling and doubling. And other loan originators started asking, like, hey, like, what are you doing? Like, what are you using? And my answer was really simple every time. I'm using this LOS and I'm using our platform. Like, literally, that's it. And I'll never forget, I was at President's Club, right? The celebration, top producers thing. I was at President's Club. I was on a Caribbean island, actually forget which one. That's a nice problem. And one night after dinner, a slightly tipsy, top producing loan originator came up and was like, Garrett, I heard you have a system. I want it and I'll pay you for it. And literally just like that, David, Candid was born.
That's outstanding. Well, it is. It's what's so interesting is your approach to this. It is created by someone who's been doing this for a long, long time, and you really have created some unique features about this. Talk about the design of what's gone into the design and the functionality, because I think that's really the key.
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with perspective, right? So I think at this point I've originated over $1 billion in mortgages, which is crazy to say.
Yeah.
And from those lessons, from the day in and day out of what it's like to be an originator, comes great perspective. And so how we build the system, how we built it, how we continue to build it is using those experiences, using the frustration, and then knowing, hey, there's probably a solution technology-wise that could solve this problem, that could make this experience better for our client, that could make this experience better for our referral partners. And so day by day, month by month, year over year, that's how we approach building out the platform.
I want to talk about some of the features and the benefits in this, because it's almost like do a virtual demonstration of this product. And folks, we're going to give links and the ability for you to log in and take a look at this. I want to go back to that conversation you had at that President's Club when you're off at one of the many Caribbean islands you guys all go to for these events. That's so bad. It's wonderful. I'm glad you got a chance to go. But there's a big part that I want to highlight there. A top producer wasn't insecure and jealous. He goes, and this is a key that not enough producers are doing. What is it that's making you so successful? Rather than coming up saying, I'm successful, why do you think you're so successful? There is that kind of hunger to learn. Patrick Lencioni talks about hungry, humble, and smart. I think it's hungry to learn, humble enough to ask each other, and then being able to reach past your pride, going, Garrett, you're doing some really well. I want to highlight that, because whoever that loan officer was, which birthed Candid, should be credited, because a lot of people have too many egos that are in the way of their own potential further future success. I want to compliment that person. Not only that, thank them, because it launched Candid. So let's give us a little bit of I want to go back and put that in there, and I may try to cut that in a little bit earlier into the podcast. But what I want to do is give everyone a little bit of a virtual demonstration, tease them with what this can do, so that they're going to want to get on a demonstration and take a look at your product. Yeah,
there's a ton to cover in that question, but I would say looking ahead, so I think in the next 6 to 12 months, there's going to be a refi wave. So I think that's something that could be pointed out.
For you to say. Many are going to go, are you sure? When was this recorded? This must have been recorded a few years back. No, this is being recorded and as we head into October. So we're right there. Yeah.
And our industry is extremely cyclical. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. So with the last refi wave, we got incredible results from Candid's ability to analyze our entire client database and be able to successfully identify refinance opportunities, not just the rate term, but also, hey, you should probably look into refinancing from FHA to conventional. Hey, this is a great cash out refinance opportunity because of your growing debt. It has incredible algorithms that look into that. But not only that, it also will go ahead and reach out to the client for us. It'll text them, it'll email them with dynamic marketing to talk about, hey, your rate was this when you purchased your home on this date, and we feel like you have a great opportunity to refinance. Let me know if you want some more information. We got an amazing response from that. Last year, $83 million, I believe, of our volume came just from that. So next refi, fully automated. And the best part is it's at scale, right? So now we have 3,000 past clients. For me to call all of them, or for me to hire 10 people to call all of them, would take a lot of time. And as you know, as we're all experiencing, rates come and go quite quickly. So we can have direct access to our clients and contact them in a natural way using natural methods, but do it through automation and do it at scale. So I would say that's one of the key features. One huge benefit as well, and a struggle that our loan originators will always have as they continue to do more business, is structure, having structure on your team. And from the perspective of a prospect to a client, and then from a client to a closed deal, a loan originator has to have structure and a process to build their entire business around in order to deliver consistency at scale. And so having your whole team tied into the platform has allowed us to do just that and be able to scale and be able to serve more clients with the same amount of people on our team.
There's got to be more to this system than what you've already talked about. I know you've talked about. Give us another example that gets you excited about this product.
Yeah, client retention. I think this is one of the biggest problems in our industry. By all the stats that we're looking at, we don't do a great job of retaining our clients. And I think last year's numbers, it cost somewhere between $1,500 and $3,000 to acquire a new client. And that was last year. It's even more expensive this year.
More now. Yep.
For Candid users, it's 1/10 that to retain a client. And it's a math.
Did I hear that wrong?
One-tenth
of the cost. Wow.
1/10 of the cost. The industry average client retention rate is somewhere between 7 and 12%, depending on who you ask. Right. With Candid's client retention engine, we are at 42% with retaining our past clients when they need to refinance or they're ready to purchase again. And so the client retention, what happens after closing, and the fully automated process that Candid has built is wildly successful. And I would point to as one of the main reasons for my volume going from 6 million to 250 million.
A lot of people say, well, you're talking about volume levels that were at some of the best, most epic times of our industry. How are you doing now in this market? Are you finding yourself still being able to produce solid volumes with Candid?
Yeah, good question. Last year, 250 million. This year, we'll cross over 200 million, but we won't make it to 250 million. I think we're going to be down about 16 to 18%. Last year,
yeah, that's amazing just in itself.
Massive win, right? Last year, 43, I believe it was 43% of our volume was refis. So we were actually able this year to replace a good 18, 20, 22% of that with new purchase clients, whether it's an existing client coming back for a new transaction, or whether it's a new client who's referred to us from one of our real estate agent partners.
That's amazing. How does this work with the real estate agent partners? What aspects of your system really help and abate that, improve that relationship?
Yeah, when we talk about client retention, we aren't just talking about clients. We're also talking about the referral partner. So they are part of our team, not only during a transaction, but years and years after, as we're continuously staying in front of clients. We also co-market with the referral partners as well. So we're not just retaining clients and helping them with their next transaction, but we're showing our referral partners year over year, hey, if you use our team and our team using Candid, then this is the experience that we'll offer for not just this one client that we serve, but for every client that we're able to serve. Now,
when you're looking at this kind of interest rate environment, how are you finding yourself to be able to compete and have just only be off that little in your volume? What's the keys to your success? Getting away from Candid maybe, but I don't think so. Candid's been a big part of that.
Yeah, no, I would tie the two together. We have a great reputation in our marketplace. That reputation comes from being very consistent, always delivering a great experience for our clients and our referral partners. And that consistency comes from Candid. So yesterday, when one of our referral partners received what we call a listing opportunity alert, I hadn't closed a transaction with them in 2 years. And I pick up the phone and I call them and I say, hey, just want to make sure you saw that listing opportunity alert for so-and-so. And after a 5-minute conversation, right before hanging up the phone, they said, hey, I need to be sending you more clients. And so it's referral partner by referral partner, one by one, serving them well, serving our clients well, that gives us the results that we're experiencing right now.
A lot of people would say it sounds like this is a relatively new technology. So why would we want to step and start using this when there's so many mature systems out there? What would you say to that person?
Yeah, no, there is a ton of systems out there. If I'm listening to a mortgage podcast and the word technology isn't said, then it's weird, right? Like we're constantly talking about technology. Yeah. I would position Candid as sort of the next generation of platforms. And it's directly positioned to loan originators who are looking to grow and to scale.
Everything seems to have a base philosophy under any system that exists. What would you say is the philosophy underpinning or as the foundation under Candid?
I think we have a singular focus. So Candid's singular focus is the loan originator. How can we empower the loan originator to serve their clients and their referral partners with excellence? It's a bigger deal than you think, but Candid has no outside investment dollars. So when we're thinking about what do we need to be doing next, what do we need to build next, it's not about ROI. It's about how can we make the most impact for our users, which are the loan originators.
So take us back to that president's dinner. And if we were to do that conversation today and you were to describe the system, how would you describe it in a linear function, in a manner in which each stage, what do you touch at each stage along the way? And when does Candid start and when does it stop?
Yeah, that's a good question. Candid begins with the first time that you interact with a new client. And it's going to help your conversion rate by managing all of those clients who are calling in, asking for your help. And from there, of course, you want to take that client, walk with them down the road of what it looks like to achieve their goal. Maybe they're buying their first home or an investment property. Maybe they're looking to refinance. But it's going to walk with them and walk with you through that process. So let's say it's for an investment property purchase. Well, the content that Candid is going to deliver to your client and referral partner is going to look completely different than if it were, say, a first-time home buyer. So it speaks the language of your client and meets them with where they're at. And from there, the next part of the process is from, let's say, when they're under contract to when they're ready to close on the home. And from there, same story. It's going to keep dozens of people involved in that transaction in the loop to create the most fluid and consistent experience that you can. So if you think about a transaction, you've got a listing agent, a buyer's agent, they probably have assistants, you have homeowners insurance, CPAs, financial planners, you've got your internal team, assistants and processors and loan partners. Everyone that I just mentioned would be communicated with through Candid by the clicking of one button. And so by being able to communicate with 12 different people in one transaction and deliver a same consistent experience every time, it allows you to do 5, 10, 20, 100 transactions the same way as you would one. And then the last part of your question was, hey, when does it end? And I would say it doesn't ever end, because after closing, that's just when things really get going. We're staying in front of every client through a variety of what I would call client retention efforts right after they close until years and years and years after closing. That's things like automating an annual mortgage review, and then taking that data and being able to analyze it with automation and respond to it. That's literally delivering in their actual mailbox a handwritten card in a handwritten envelope. That's delivering to your referral partners updates about where the client is in their house life cycle and things of that nature. So it's never going to deliver what I would consider junk mail, like, hey, here's my top 5 favorite restaurants. But it always delivers incredibly high value content and information to the client, to the referral partner, and it does it consistently year over year until that client is ready to use you again.
Sounds like a powerful system. How have you positioned this in the market from a cost standpoint?
Yeah, cost-wise, I would say that we are not the cheapest platform out there. You'll go out there and you'll be able to find something that is cheaper. But I would say from a value perspective, Candid is by far the most valuable platform that exists today because of the return that the user receives exponentially and over time.
I'd like to have you back on the podcast. I'd like to get some of the users that you have that are using this to help tell the story. It's a great story. I love the fact that you're a successful loan originator and you saw an opportunity and you took the time to study everything that was out there and you go, I'm going to have to create my own to make it work. I'm going to have to create my own product in order for this to meet my needs. I love the innovation. I love the creativity. Really been a joy to have you on the podcast. I love working with you. As a full disclosure, listeners, I do work with Garrett, but one of the values of having this podcast and the vast audience that we do have is to share ideas like this. It's best practices, looking at the attitudes of a top originator. These are the things that really get me excited when I meet the next generation of top performers coming into this industry. So Garrett, I'm really excited to see you in the industry. You're a veteran now at this point. You look like you're young at this point compared to an old guy like me. But really congratulate you on your success and then what you're bringing to this next generation of loan originators and mortgage professionals. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, David. It's been an honor.
It's been an honor for me to have you on, and we're going to be having you back. Listeners, this story is just beginning. So you're going to check out now in the show notes where you can learn more about this and get a hold of Garrett. No, don't call him to recruit him. He's on his own. He's doing really, really well. Call him to learn more about Candid. We'll talk to you later. Garrett, thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
You've been listening to Lykken on Lending, a weekly mortgage market update with your host, David Lykken of Transformational Mortgage Solutions. Join us next week, and thanks for listening.